Right, so we're now in August. It's a good time now to cut back the bits of the wisteria that you don't need. As you can see, there's a great big huge long length which is probably about 3 meters long. If it's of use to you and you want to use this to wrap around the side of the house or something like that, keep it. But if it isn't of any use, then what I do is I just cut this. I'm just cutting back today as far as I can reach, but if you can cut it back to the stem. But don't be frightened to cut these bits off, because it'll just improve the size of the blooms. And now what I'm going to show you is some of the health and safety aspects of cutting wisterias back, because as I don't know whether you can see from the camera angle, but hidden amongst the wisteria you quite often find television aerial cables. There's a television aerial cable and an earth cable, and also the mains power supply cable hidden there nicely with the county cream paint. So the main thing is to be aware of those when you're snipping, because otherwise you snip off the television aerial cable, or maybe the telephone line or sky cable, gosh, whatever. So be mindful of those. And then I'm going to just pop up the ladder in my own inimitable speed. So put a kettle on, listen to something on the radio, and then I'll be up there in a couple of seconds or hours. Right, and these longer ones that are going up into the roof, we don't want those, because if they get into the roof and under the tiles, that's not really good. So I'm going to snip those off as far back or as close to the junctions of the main wisteria plant, being mindful of the fact that I want to make sure I don't fall off the ladder, because if I do, it'll probably be a much more valuable bit of filming this afternoon. But also have to be mindful of the fact that I don't cut off the television aerial wires, or the more dangerously, the power leads. So I'm going to cut that. I don't know whether you can actually see that, but I'm going to cut that back hard there. And hopefully, I've only got a short ladder today, but hopefully I can gently pull that down without pulling the roof off. But you see, we don't want all that. It's just going into the roof and potentially doing damage. But you can see more clearly now hey, get off. It's there, you doing that. Somebody's fiddling with my legs from a distance. But here's you can see the power cables and the television aerial, so you need to steer clear of those. Right, so take that off there, and that lets the sun in. And so basically anything that you don't want, we cut back as close to the stem of the wisteria as possible, and then just leave the bits you want to keep and just tie them into the wires that hopefully you've prepared earlier. Right, and contrary to what I was saying earlier about cutting the long strands off that are in the way, there are times when you want a long strand to go perhaps all the way around the side of the house, as here. So this one's long established, so that's probably been there about 2 or 3 years. But if you want to use one of those long strands, put a horizontal wire on eyelets around the side of the house, and then you can just tie this one piece of wisteria into that, and then that will, when that comes into flower, all the flowers will hang nicely down. And if the wires are just sort of about 2'6" or so above the windows, then hopefully you won't obscure too much of the window with the wisteria, and also with the flowers flowing down, which you'll see in the spring next year, or on my previous video. You'll just see how magnificent it can be.